Reuben, back on the discussion. Reuben, there we saw how Bollywood is becoming popular in Israel with films and their film screenings and promotions happening more frequently than before. Now, the general impression about India-Israel relations is that while the government-to-government relations are getting better by the day, the people-to-people connect does not have that much traction as one would have expected. So can Bollywood or Indian film, Indian cinema can bridge this gap, as it were, Reuben?
Yeah, I guess so. First of all, there is a large Indian expat population in Israel. Large in the sense they must be about maybe 100,000. So they, of course, are the big Bollywood fans. But besides that, the Israelis themselves, the more films they see, the more they'll get to know about India and the more close they'll feel to Indian culture, and vice versa. If we could get a few more Israeli films, maybe dubbed in English here into India, or dubbed in the regional languages, we would perhaps understand Israeli culture better. So that is a means of bringing people together.
Indeed, and films can be one medium of encouraging this people-to-people connect. What else, to your mind, would act as a good incentive or a medium to promote and encourage people-to-people contacts between India and Israel?
Well, as I said earlier, not today, but in a previous session, it is very important for businessmen to be able to travel freely to Israel. And the problem is, a lot of Indian businessmen want to do business with Israel, but also have strong business ties with the Arab world. And if you travel to an Arab country, one of the first questions they ask is, have you ever been to Israel? And they might check your passport. And if your passport has a stamp Israel, they can give you trouble, or they can send you back. So it's important to get your visa on a separate piece of paper, and for the Israeli authorities to actually stamp that piece of paper and not insist on stamping it on your passport. There have been instances where people have traveled to Israel with this separate piece of paper, but out of cussedness or whatever, the Israeli immigration authorities have stamped their passport, and that can cause trouble. If one is assured of that, I think many more Indian businessmen and tourists would be happy to go to Israel.
Indeed. So we've spoken about films, we've spoken about visas. Would you also agree that direct flights in particular, can be a very good incentive to promote people-to-people ties?
Yes, I'm not quite sure, but I think El Al has one flight direct to Israel.
From Mumbai, yes, one.
From Mumbai. But besides that, there aren't any. But if people want to get there, there's really a hopping flight is not really a factor. So it would help. Obviously, it would help. But I can't say that that's an inhibiting factor.
Right. And also, would you agree that the student population, wherever they might be the US or Australia or the UK, can also act as a bridge between two cultures, two societies? So to that extent, can the Indian student population or Israeli student population in India act as a bridge to connect the two peoples?
Absolutely. If there were more openings, if there were openings for Indian students to go to Israel, and Indian students do need a scholarship program wherever they go outside the country, at least in the strong where the currencies are hard. So if there was such a program, I think a lot of Indian students could benefit considerably from certain areas of Israeli skills and knowledge. And perhaps vice versa. Yes, of course, Israeli students coming to India for various skills, including in the arts.
Indeed,
it would bring people. It would bring these two cultures together.
Indeed. On that note, Reuben Israel, thank you so much. That was Reuben Israel, a publisher, talking to us on Skype on this issue.
May I just give me?
Indeed.
Sorry.
Yeah. Please carry on.
May I just give one word of warning to Mr. Modi? You see, he's going to meet the Indian expat population, and among that population, there'll be one young lady who is the wife of my cousin there. She works at the Indian High Commission in Tel Aviv, and she's going to ask him if he's brought for her silver jewelry, kurtis from India, papad. So if he hasn't brought them, she's going to give him the firing of his life. So he better be warned.
All right. So kurtis and papad, will it be?
And silver jewelry from India.
Right. So kurtis, jewelry, and papad.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, Reuben Israel, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.